There's been an observation that most of the organizations still go with a menu approach in selecting training. That means they offer a menu to the employees to select from. But what we want to understand from this expert panel as to have you moved up the value chain in measuring business impact and performance change? And if yes, how have you been doing it? Please share your practical experience.
Who is that question directed to?
I think any one of them can take that.
I'll take that.
Okay, Mr. Raj will take that. I'm conscious, one, of time, and I know that there's lots of questionings bubbling up, so I think it would be really great if we now take one at a time so that more questions can get asked and everybody can.
Your name and company, please.
George Zakaria
Company?
from L-Change Catalyst.
There is no menu training. It's all on demand. Last evening I was sitting with my president manufacturing and he was telling me, Rituraj, I sense there is a lot of, it's a fast growth company, fast growth context, and therefore a lot of pressure on the shop floor in manufacturing context. That's his domain, his division. They're saying, can we do something to really ease it out, get our guys to believe that we trust them, and even if they make a mistake, and this is linked with that fear of, making a mistake because they're making capsules, tablets, it's life-saving things. So sometimes they try to kind of hide it and not really bring it out, and in the process we end up wasting some 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs odd in the process, and then finally ultimately we just cancel the entire batch. How do we help our guys ease out? Because there is US FDA approval, there are various stringent regulatory bodies, and so every other industry has got their own pressures, of course, whichever industry you take it. How do we help people relax? Now he asked me for doing something about it. So can you do a program? Can you do counseling? Can you get into sessions with them on shop floor? So please think up and create something. So I have that as work in progress at my end. Similarly, there is a need for us to make sure that the frontline supervisors, once they go through their supervisory skill program, we've been approached with this question that what after that, typically the question after transferring learning into practice. So we have created a implementation related project contest at the end of about 9, 10 to 12 months. So every year there are about 300 odd frontline supervisors who go through a program called Leader Plus, and then they work on the learnings. In fact, this program happens in 2 phases. Phase 1, they draw their learnings, they start their project, interim status update in phase 2. Each phase is 3 days. And at the end of 12 months, there is of 250, 300 participants. First round of filtering and 50 guys, and then final shortlist of 16, 17 guys. And then from them, there is going to be one contest. There is one contest around this month, around the end of this month also. So what we have understood at the end of this is, now these guys have come back to us that, see, you did very well, you gave us that training, you did very well, you created a contest around implementation, its impact on bottom line deliverables, but now it seems that we are getting obsessed with winning the project contest rather than actually transferring learning for all 250 guys. So the focus is now narrowing down on those 50 guys and 15 guys who are finalists, rather than actually creating a mass movement on the bottom of the pyramid of entire 250. And they'll come back to us, can we do something about it? So we are engaging with the line managers, getting them to actually ensure that the project selection is very, very meaningful, getting them to ensure that the review of these implementation projects is happening as desired. And it is not that out of these 250 guys, those 50 seem to be really meaningful projects, and these will stand some chance in the ultimate contest, so I'll rather focus more on them and forget the rest of 200. It's not that. So we need to talk about going forward in the next year, because of this feedback from our line functions, we need to talk to them about how many projects are happening in your team post that program, post that individual that had happened, rather than saying who won the contest and, okay, did you win it last time, this time would you like to win it? So it's not about contest, it's about actually creating master. So like this, I'm just sharing one example. I'm sure there are many others.
Can I give one more example?
See, in my organization, maximum training goes towards the field force. We have 1,000+ field force, and we just learned in the morning through Ron that return on investment of your training. We follow in our company the Kirkpatrick model, where we just don't limit the training program to the classroom, where medical reps or area managers are trained particularly on product or skills or whatever. Once that is over, there is a reaction level feedback where feedback forms are given and we take feedback of how the training program is and what was the trainer effectiveness and all that. It's all goody feedback. But once that is over, the second thing is the learning level. Before the program, we undergo a test to see what is the level of understanding of that individual, and after the training program, we give the same test again to see whether there is a change in his learning in terms of knowledge or skills. If it is skills, we do role plays to see whether there is a change or not. So that's the level 2. Level 3 is, if we don't stop over there, in our organization we have a network of trainers in the field. So what we do is, once this guy goes back to the field, either his immediate boss, the supervisor, or our training managers go and work in the field to see if that learning has been translated into in-clinic effectiveness. Whether at the doctor level when he goes, can he deliver what he has learned in the classroom? And then that feedback is again, it comes back to head office. That gives us the adaptability to the level 3. And finally, we also see the return on investment as to these trainers, they identify some 50 guys each trainer has, and they, in January, if we are giving them a target, these are your set of people whom you are going to train, then what is the productivity of this guy before he starts the coaching, and over a 1 year period when he is coached, at the end of the year, is there a change in productivity? If there is a positive trend, the trainer gets the benefit of it. If not, then he also gets the discredit for it. So that also gives the training effectiveness feedback to us, whether the training programs that we are delivering, are they really effective in bringing a change in the behavior of the field force or not. This is what we follow in our organization.
Thank you so much, but can you suggest you do it for all the 1,000 or you pick up only a few?
Well, it is not possible to do for everybody. So therefore, the source that we get is the first line sales manager and the second line sales manager, where they identify who are the key representatives whom they would like us to focus on. Because they are there, either they are low in productivity or they are not good, and then we can coach them to bring up. Or secondly, there are a few set where we would like to develop as future managers. So they are good people who come to us, and then we coach them on different aspects of leadership so that they can be our future leaders. So it's both ways, and it is given by first and second line managers.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you very much.
10 seconds.
I know we don't have enough time. I think I think the training ROI is too overhyped, and I'm not going to expand this, but I'm just going to make one statement for you to take it back with you and reflect on that. On this, what is the ROI for going to a temple or a church? But you still do that. You go there every day, isn't it? But if I ask you to tell me what is the ROI, I don't think any one of us will be able to say that. That's something I just wanted you to kind of
that's great.
take back with you.
Thank you for that, Surya. Faye, thank you for waiting really patiently.
Okay.
You've got a question.
I'll make it quick. My question has 2 parts. The first part is about how do we align the expectations of the different generations in the company. The managers are usually from a different generation than the younger people, and they expect obedience and they reward obedience. So how do you do that and at the same time encourage the younger generation to be courageous enough to challenge them? 1. And 2, what is rewarded in the company? Do you reward compliance or do you reward innovation in order to create that culture of trust? I'm not directing to any particular person, but I would love to hear your insights on this, because I think it's a major stumbling block in changing culture within a corporation.
Murli, your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to kind of give an example from my company. We have graduates joining us, people who joined right from the college, they finish and join us. This particular story is about an individual we were doing for a client, basically into medical equipment. So we write software for them. So this guy got an idea, which he took it to the client straight away and told the client that, this is a cool idea, why didn't you try it? Client said, okay, you work on it and then come back to us. So an engineer who's just out of college could reach out to the client and propose his idea. And we encourage that. So what happens is, obviously I'm sure a lot of other companies do this, with the social tools available now, we use Yammer, somebody talked about it. We have an innovation framework where ideas actually bubble up, and sometimes they reach directly to the client. The clients are also on the network. They get to see what the engineers on the ground do. So I think that's very powerful. Coming to your previous question on the managers and their attitudes towards Gen Y, I think that's a big problem we are also facing. Many of these Gen Ys in our organization are actually getting into managerial positions. So that's the shift which is happening, and it's very fast. These guys really get into managers, and now we have managers who are Gen Y and Gen X, and they see how Gen Y managers are more successful than them, and then they start questioning. So there is this dialogue going on. What are they doing differently that we are missing out on? So that's one way of solving the problem.
Again, I'll answer the first part. Similar to what you said, we have also a lot of graduates in our organization. They have, yes, moved up the curve and probably become managers faster than the people, from who've been there forever. The difference is, in our organization, we've dealt it in two parts. So one is similar to what Murli has said. But a step before that is we've really done a lot of change around getting our managers, our existing managers, to understand certain things about our current generation and how to deal with them. Similarly, our Gen Y, it has been developed from the very first day to be able to ask tough questions. We've been able to build that curiosity factor for them in the organization, and given that one of my organization's values is curiosity, it becomes all the more easier for us to kind of push that piece. Coming to the second part, I think both play a very important role. Basis industry, some industries will reward for compliance because that's what it is for them, and some will for innovation. Being from a consulting organization which is into analytics, for us it is innovation. The more new products we build, the better it is for our clientele. So we do, for example, run things called Hack Days, and we do run iFridays, Innovation Fridays, and that's exactly what's happened actually yesterday in my organization, where we get our the more newer blood in the organization to lead those innovative forums, and then they do come up with ideas which they implement over the year. So that's what we do in our organization from an innovation perspective. I think compliance just has to go hand in hand.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
See, in my organization also we have we brand all our programs. So we have got one series of program which is called Fuel Series of Program, which is a certified courses for youngsters. Here what we do, we align them and with the senior, the specialist from the organization. They work closely with these people and all new things they propose. And these seniors, they help them to implement those ideas, those new things on the job and in different areas. It may not be in what area they are working, but they can come up with some project or some new thing from some different function or some different area. These specialists who are seniors in the company, they help them to get that project or that idea implemented in the company. And it is completely 1 year diploma course through which we generate many ideas in the company, and we see that those ideas are implemented and taken care of. If it is really worth and it is for the growth of the company.